Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Self-Defense Saturday. I'm Chris.
And I'm Wes.
And Wes is here co-starring with me today in place of Tyler because we've got a story that he is also very passionate about and really wanted to bring to you guys. It's about a topic that has been talked about a lot recently and people are kind of scared of. It's about a possible mass shooting that was stopped with a good guy with a gun that was in the right place at the right time. Now, Wes, as my guest co-star, would you like to have the honors of reading the story?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. Police said a woman who was lawfully carrying a pistol shot and killed a man who began shooting at a crowd of people in Charleston. Dennis Butler was killed after allegedly shooting at dozens of people attending a graduation party Wednesday near the Vista View apartment complex. No injuries were reported from those at the party. Investigators said Butler was warned about speeding in the area with children present before he left. He later returned with an AR-style firearm and began firing into the crowd before he was shot and killed. Instead of running from the threat, she engaged with the threat and saved several lives last night, Charleston Police Department Chief of Detectives Tony Hazlitt said. Officers did not go into detail, but said Butler did have an extensive criminal history. Hazlitt said no charges will be filed against the woman.
So I'm going to hit on a topic that me and Tyler have said multiple times, and this isn't any way, shape, or form trying to single out women. But again, this goes to prove that women are not any kind of second-class citizen. They're not any kind of second-class gun owner. They can do just as much good with a gun as any other human being can. And this woman did something that I'm not going to say that we all dream about, but we all hope for if we ever unfortunately have to use our firearm in self-defense, that we can save not only our lives but the lives of others. And she did just that. She saved everybody's life at that party. Even though shots were being fired across that party, luckily nobody was hit. She was able to take that man down before he could do any more harm to any other people around that party, himself, or who knows in the future, because obviously there was something going on with this man.
Well, and one of the really cool things, this story has a tragic ending and that's really sad, but one of the really awesome and cool things about this is that this is a showcase of why we train. This is why we get certified to conceal carry. This is why we train with our firearms, is for situations like this where, like you said, being able to protect a group of people that it doesn't even have to be people that you love or, just your family, the people around you who are defenseless in those situations. You would be that protector against someone going after people for no good reason, especially using a firearm that is a hot topic at this point. But to protect people in general is the main goal, and it's not a good ending, but it's a beautiful thing to see that self-defense is alive and well.
Yeah, and there's actually another legal point that I want to talk about when it comes to stopping people who are attacking others. And the bravery on this woman, whether she knew the possible legal consequences or not, she had balls of steel to be able to confront a man with an AR-style rifle with just a pistol. A lot of people can see that as daunting. But something that I want to point out is situations like this, when you have somebody intent on doing harm to a mass of people or a crowd or even just a group of other people that you're witnessing or a part of, is there can be a huge legal battle going on with this, and people can get tripped up in the small details because they can say that things like you were never positive of who the attacker was. Now, I feel like in this it was probably pretty obvious, but things to remember when you hopefully never have to encounter things like this is that you have to be 100% certain that the person that you are shooting at is the person that is intending on doing harm to other people, to be able to save them. Because if there is any doubt in that, when in the court's eyes or in a judge or anything, or a jury of your peers, it could come back to haunt you and bite you in the butt. And the fact that no charges were put on this woman just goes to show that the people in Charleston of West Virginia, the sheriff's department there especially, really understand what was going on and know that this woman did no wrong and she did everything right. And I'm glad to see that.
I think it's one of the best ways that we can actually put it out there and really give this lady, the most support possible, in just showing our support that this was not a situation she ever wanted to be in, but it's a situation that she walked headstrong into, and that is something that we never want to have to do. But going into this man, it makes me stop and think for a second, all the people that I have had to tell kind of aggressively to slow down even on my road. I have children, and I tell people all the time, yell at them to slow down, or, aggressively yell at people. And that makes me second guess a little bit of doing that. But at the same time, this man, to take a situation like that where he was already in the wrong for speeding, especially when there's children, and then to come back and, try and do even more harm, like, I just don't see why you would, and what mindset that you're in to have to go to that extent. Obviously, he's not in a great mindset, but it's one extreme to a whole nother extreme.
Yeah, and I'm not giving this man any excuses, and I don't give anybody excuses who do things like this, but I've always been the kind of person who tries to figure out what their possible reasoning is, and he could have just been having a very bad day, things were not going his way all day long, and now all of a sudden he's being confronted, and this anger has been stewing up inside of him to where he mentally snapped, because no sane person is going to be able to drive all the way home, grab their gun, load it, put it in the car, drive all the way back, and then start firing on people who really are just getting into a disagreement with him. Telling him, hey, be careful, there's children around here and you're going over the speed limit. You're already breaking the law, and then you're going to go back and do something like that. Obviously, there was something mentally wrong with this man. Whether his day was bad, he deals with anger issues, or anything of the sorts. We don't like to see that people have died. Do I believe this was the right sentence for this man is death? I'm going to say no, because there is a possibility that he could have possibly led a different life, and that's always a possibility with anybody who does anything like this, but there's a very good chance that he could have done this and actually killed somebody. So therefore, I still believe what happened was meant to happen, because who knows how many other lives that this woman saved, not only at this party, but other people that he could have confronted later on in his life.
Well, and one of the things that we kind of touched on, but the fact that he had to use an AR style firearm, that really, especially in the day and age that we're in, it's a really sad thing to see that, a weapon that we hold so true to use for, for hunting or for sports shooting or just training with, period, for home defense, to be used in a way like this really just, I don't want to say, makes everyone second guess an AR-15, but it doesn't shine a good light. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it matters what kind of firearm that he was using, because, I think I've said it enough times at this point, but I don't believe that we have a gun problem in this country. We have more of a people problem, more of a mental health problem at this point. We got more people wanting to commit, atrocities like this, instead of taking that drive home and cooling down and not thinking irrationally and actually having some sort of, coherency in his mind. He decided to grab a gun and come back. And regardless of what gun that was, I don't think it, would have really mattered what gun at the end of the day. It could have been a pistol too. I don't think it really would have mattered, but we really need to stop and, think about the people behind the gun, not just trying to blame the gun.
Yeah, and real quick about the whole gun thing is, I feel like it's not completely uncommon to see stuff like this because, well, AR-15 is America's most popular sporting rifle. It has been said and proven multiple times. So as much as it gets criminalized and they use it for scare tactics and things like that because of the way it looks, yeah, it's not a good light to be shed on it. But at the same time, I'm kind of not surprised because, well, it's an extremely popular rifle. It's the most popular rifle in America, and most people who like guns, have guns, are more likely going to have it. So beyond that point, exactly what he said with the whole mental illness thing. You guys check on your people. Just letting some people talk could stop something like this one day. And don't be afraid to let them know that you're afraid of where they're going. Because even if it doesn't do anything right then, it could make them think longer and harder about when they could possibly, hopefully never, have the idea of doing something like this.
Well, Chris, thank you for having me on. I'm really glad that this could be the first story that I get to come and sit down for.
Yeah, this was a big one, and I'm glad you were here with me. It was a lot of fun having you on here. Guys, go ahead and leave us a comment down below on what you think of this story, things we may have missed, yada, 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 like we always say. There's a website that we read all of these stories from Firearms Owners Against Crime. There's a link in the description. There's also a link in the description for a link tree that's going to have all of our social medias. You guys, you got to go start checking that stuff out. We've got a TikTok account now, and we're going to be starting to upload a lot more snippets and cool B-rolls of the things that we're going to have coming through. If you haven't seen it yet, check out our video where we're going to explain to you about the new direction that this channel is going to be taking, and Wes hits it on the head with that, and I think you guys are really going to find it interesting, the direction that we're going to be moving.
And always remember, guys, who's got your 6?